See if I'm in on. Go check it out. Yeah.
Little, just a tad to the left.
My left or you?
You're right.
My right? Okay.
Yeah, just right. Little. Right there.
Okay.
And where's my split? Yeah, right there.
Awesome. All right, we're recording, so we're gonna do 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, this is Hater Radio, college football media brand. This is week 13, Rivalry week. We're here live with Ian Gibson, my co-host at the Yingling Center in front of USF. There's not a game tonight. There's actually a game tomorrow, but I'm actually going to the Lightning game, so hey, sorry, but I like the Lightning more, especially after they won last night against the Bruins. That was sick. So anyways, back to Rivalry Week. Why we're here, what we do. This is the show. We're a college football media brand, and we're covering these last couple of games. You know, the big games, especially Saturday, we have the Florida-FSU game. Florida comes in 5-6, 4 straight losses, and losing Graham Mertz to the rest of the year to a collarbone injury. On the other side as well, FSU has lost their quarterback, Jordan Travis, to a very gruesome, terrible injury. Broke his foot or leg. I don't know what it was specifically. Just looked terrible. I don't even want to watch it again. It's that disgusting.
It was bad.
But so both these teams have to figure it out. Max Brown for Florida comes in, and then for Florida State is Tate Rodemaker. I actually was looking at stats today. David Soderquist on High Top Sports, he posted about certain stats, and it looked pretty even for the most part, which I was surprised, especially some of the offensive stats, because Florida State has been one of the better offenses in the country, but Florida had some very similar stats there. Though two that stood out that were different was sacks, turnovers, and I think like there was one other one that I specifically noted, but sacks, I think Florida State has 36 to like Florida's 23, and then turnover wise, Florida only has like 7 turnovers all year, which is terrible. I think it's
not good enough.
I think it's one off the least amount in the country, which, you know, it's bad enough that they're not getting third down stops and getting off the field.
Let alone fourth down stops.
Right, but then it's also they can't even get turnovers, because it's at least if you can get one, you get the other, you know, so it's just something that it's been frustrating all year with the defense, obviously giving up so many yards, you know, 700 to LSU and then 500 last week to Missouri, but they were still in that game. But yeah, and I wanted real quick, before we do get into the FSU game, what are your thoughts about the Missouri game? Because you weren't on the show on Sunday.
Yeah, man, that Missouri game, I had a really bad, and I don't know if that's just me with this way this program is at now. As soon as they kicked that field goal, I went too much time. Yeah. I knew that defense wasn't going to hold on, and even at 4th and 17, you can blame whoever you want, but I wasn't surprised, and that's the sad thing.
Yeah.
I knew when that field goal went through, I went, there's too much time on the clock. I knew the defense could not, because at that point you're relying on the defense. Now for that, you could get on the coaching for, you know, leaving too much time or being way too conservative to get the field goal when they were inside the 20, or at least near the red zone. You could blame ETN for going out of bounds, as that saved Missouri's timeout. And then of course 4th and 17, you got to find a way to stop them.
Yeah.
But again, I just wasn't. I knew just this team for the Gators doesn't know how to win these games. That's just the hard, cold truth of it. They don't know how to close these games out when you leave more than a minute left. I think that if they had the ball last, they would have won. I think that was the difference, because I remember me and my cousin George talked about, he said, well, no, because they can win these games against South Carolina. I was like, no, that's different. They know how to win it with the ball last.
Yeah.
They don't know how to close games out. And I think that's the sad truth of it, is that this team doesn't know how to win these type of games when it's close and they don't have the ball left. So it all heartbreaking win, and again, it's just the frustrating thing that seemed like a win, like given to Florida, a huge win, and again, it's just a team that
number 9 team in the country, and
you're playing
on
up
the
to
road.
them. Yeah, and again, a huge win that could have been given to them, and they just let it slip through their fingers.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's like, I know I saw it posted the last couple of days where it's like Florida, the difference between 5 and 6 and 7 and 4 right now is a 4th and 17 stop and a field goal make, and that literally is the difference. And it's kind of crazy because if both of those go Florida's way, then the narrative right now is completely different on the trajectory of the program. You may not have seen, I don't know, flip-wise, if those flips would have still occurred. They may have occurred anyways. And it's just the nature of the beast with recruiting. But then, you know, obviously Billy Napier's hot seat has gotten a lot hotter. So there is a lot to that there. But regardless, let's get into this FSU game. I have said since the beginning of the year, even before the season started, that I felt that this game was winnable by Florida. I felt all year that Florida matched up well against Florida State. Last year it was a close game. It was, you know, Florida had the ball last with a chance to go ahead at the end. And, you know, I clearly think they have the offensive prowess to do it this time as well. The defense I thought would have been better, but obviously is struggling mightily. But then again, you have Tate Rodemaker there, so is he going to be a godsend? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to be as good as they hope he's going to be. I think he's going to be about probably average, maybe to okay. And then as well with Max Brown, how well will he do? Given the fact that he is an athletic quarterback, he can move the ball a lot better than Graham Mertz can. RPOs will be in play. The run game was dominant in that Missouri game. You could likely see that as well continuing in this game. I don't like FSU's defense. I never have. They're like 26th nationally, largely to do with the teams that they have played. They've played a lot of terrible offenses, so it's easy to put up good defensive stats when you're not playing anyone of note. I will say the fact that this game is in Gainesville is a huge factor. I think if this game was in Tallahassee and Jordan Travis was there, I would have probably penciled in a win for Florida State. But because, one, it's in the swamp, and two, Jordan Travis is not there, this bodes very well for Florida, and I like their chances. I want to hear your thoughts before I give my prediction, but give me your thoughts.
Yeah, so with this one, I mean, obviously you're dealing with, this is the backup quarterback role pretty much. So then it's going to rely on, I agree, I don't think, you know, it's going to be how well the team around the QB position is going to support it. And then for me, I look into how the team has done in those positions, not just quarterback. The big difference I think that's going to come down to, while Rodemaker, I don't think he's going to be like this godsend. I don't think he's going to be good. The wide receivers of Florida State have shown to be elite this year, and they can bail him out. And I think that is something Florida hasn't. I mean, they got, you know, Eugene Wilson, Ricky Pearsall. But the problem is that the offensive line that Florida has compared to Florida State, Brown isn't going to have enough time. Now, that's where the mobility comes in. That's where there's going to have to be a lot of RPOs, a lot of read options to just move the ball. But I've always said at the beginning of the year, and I still say this, pass game does as well as the rushing attack. If Florida commits to Etienne Johnson and hell, even Brown for these option plays, they will be more effective in the passing game. With that being said, defensively, Florida ranks last on almost every statistical category on defense in the SEC. It does. Like it's like so it's either 13 or 14. There's not even not a single digit you will see next to that rank. And for me, that is going to be very, very tough to see Florida adjust that. Even with the backup quarterback, the fact of how well the wide receivers have been this year with Florida State, that is a really tough ask for this team. Because, I mean, I've seen, again, I can't keep not looking back when I think of teams that have given up as many points. Like, that Florida State, even without Travis, has a better offense. Florida State, without Travis, still has a better offense than Kentucky, Arkansas. Yeah. I believe it's say Missouri. And they were able to put 30 points.
I don't know about that. I will say Cook is pretty damn good. And he was, I mean, he looked great against Florida, and he looked pretty good against Georgia too. And that's definitely one of the top 10, top 5 defenses in the country. So, but no, yeah, to your point, yeah. I mean, I think right now Rodemaker is an unknown, but so is Brown. So it's basically at this point a wash for both sides. It's really kind of hard to differentiate here because they're both going to probably struggle in some aspects. Obviously, Brown, fumbled on that one drive,
yep.
And that probably was the difference in the game. Because if they score there at least 3, they may not lose that game. But regardless, give me your prediction and then we'll move on because we got other games we got to get to.
I think it's going to be close, but in the end, second half, this is where teams like Florida State find a way to pull through. 31-21 Florida State.
So 31-21?
Florida State.
Okay. I'm going to be there. I'll be in Gainesville, so if you see me, I'm going to be recording. Let me know. I'll be wearing my Hater Radio shirt. I'll be there, early. I'll be there all day. I've said all along since this game, we've even been thinking about this game since July, since June. I've been saying that Florida should win this game. With the 2 quarterback situation where both being hurt and now it's the backups, it changes things, but I still like Florida in this game for whatever reason. I have just, I've been usual, my picks have been more realistic throughout the year. This one I'm going to go with my heart a little bit more, but I also just feel like there's enough there for Florida to win this game, to get to bowl eligibility. And I'm going to say Florida wins like 28 to like 24. It'll be close, largely with the fact that Rodemaker is going to struggle, and that's what I think that'll help. Okay, moving on. Your hometown team, the USF Bulls, going up against Charlotte here in Tampa on Saturday night. The Charlotte team is not very good on offense. Defense, they're okay. But, that guy, Biff, what is his last name? The coach? Pierogi or
yes.
something like that? Yeah. So Biff, what a great name. The guy's a character. Wears those cut-off sleeve shirts. He seems to be trying to change things there, and, God bless him. Hopefully he does. I'd like to see Charlotte competitive as long as South Florida is in the AAC, which is for the foreseeable future. This is a game where Sean Atkins can go off here. He's been going off all year, can contribute to those sizable numbers of the records that he's broken all year. Byron Brown has been great all year, obviously top 10 nationally in total offense. Look for that to continue. I think he'll get his own. I know he struggled against UTSA at times. I think largely that was just, UTSA is obviously one of the better teams in the AAC, and they probably weren't going to win that game regardless because they'd have to have kept up with their offense, and USF's defense is just not there yet. But this opponent, Charlotte, poses an easier threat. It's at home. It's a chance for bowl eligibility, much like Florida. I think they get the win. I think USF can win this game. I'm going to say like a 32 to like 22 game. What do you got?
I think this game is actually going to go down a lot like the Temple game.
Yeah.
I feel like, yes, statistically and on paper, USF is better.
Yeah.
But how they play on the field is going to be a real thing. And again, the defense been a huge struggle all year. I get, UTSA, anybody saw that coming. That was about, that was as easy to see as a sore thumb, But it was, this is what it's going to come down to, is that can the offense of USF take, advantage of the opportunities given when Charlotte's offense falters? Because it will. Charlotte's offense is not great. They are a run-heavy, run-first team, and that's where it's going to be the key, is that USF has to capitalize on their opportunities. They're a very fast offense, which bodes well because Charlotte will eat up the clock. But for USF, they need to find a way to prevent, Charlotte to getting the big plays that USF's defense has given up so many of. So I think when it's going to, bottom line, while I think USF is the better team, I think it'll be a lot closer based on Charlotte's keep away ability. But I think USF pulls it out. I'm going to go with a 27-19 win for the Bulls.
Nice. Okay, let's pause for a second here. Waiting for the leaf blowers. Moments away, moments away. Hold on. Okay, so back to it. Next game we got is USC is off, so we only have the UCLA game to talk about in the core four of the teams that we cover. So it's UCLA going up against Cal. I am kind of amazed the fact that Chip Kelly was on the verge of potentially being fired before this USC game. They win the USC game, are 7-4. If they win this game, which they likely should, should, and if they do, they'll get to 8-4, and then if they win their bowl game 9-4, I would be hard pressed to fire a coach that went 9-4 this year, and I believe 9-4, maybe even 10-3 last year. Yeah. So it's like, you really cannot argue with the results, considering that he had a freshman quarterback for most of the year that was 18 years old, and Garbers got hurt for most of it as well. So it's like he did the best with what he could. The defense is phenomenal. You got to keep that. You got to keep that consistency going with the defensive coordinator and with Chip Kelly as well. I don't see them firing him now. It was very strange that even came up, but at that point it seemed like the rails were coming off, or it was coming off the rails. So largely understandable. Now it seems like things are corrected. If Garbers, is there for the rest of the year, the next two games, they should be fine. Hopefully they win the Cal game, which I think they will. I'm going to say they probably win, because this Cal team is the only game I've seen of them all year was the USC game. Yep. And they scored a lot of points, but everyone has scored a lot of points against USC. And I think UCLA can keep them in check, which they've done to pretty much everybody. Even in their losses, they've held teams to, very minimal output. So I can see UCLA winning this game probably 27-17. What do you got?
Yeah, I think UCLA, based on the defense, is able to take advantage of Cal and be able to give a lot more opportunities to the offense. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing. UCLA just is going to have more time on offense to get the necessary points. I don't think it'll be high scoring, but I see UCLA kind of cruising in this one. I'll go with a 27-10 win for the Bruins.
Cool. Okay, so now on to the other games. We've got the first game that I chose for Thursday is Ole Miss, Mississippi State.
Egg Bowl.
Yeah, Egg Bowl. I just thought it was interesting, and I'm like, you know what? I'm curious to see what happens here. Lane Kiffin lost to Georgia 2 weeks ago, so they kind of really have flown under the radar. I know last week was an easy game for them, but this week, with Mississippi State firing their coach, should be an easy game for Ole Miss to win this one. But things go awry usually in this rivalry. I think Ole Miss had the win in hand, and then the guy did the fire hydrant celebration, and they lost. So it's like, you never know what can happen. But I envision Ole Miss winning this one. I'm going to say Ole Miss wins probably 35-17. What do you got?
Yeah, I feel like, this has been one of the most unpredictable rivalries in the country. So you don't know which way it's going to go. Even if one team looks like a lock, it can easily go either way. So for this one, though, I feel like even, with, not having their normal head coach, I feel like it's going to be a close game, because it always is with these two. But I feel like Ole Miss will find a way to win this one. Finally, they've really had a tough time. Lane Kiffin has had a tough time putting Mississippi State away for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Ole Miss wins this one. Pulls out in the fourth quarter, but I'll go almost similar score. I'll go like 35-27.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the Big 12, I just saw this tweet before we got on to do the show. There is 126 possibilities that leaves 7 teams alive for the Big 12 championship game. That is ridiculous. It's too many to really even go over, obviously. So I'll talk about some of the big games that are going down. So the first one we have for the Big 12 is the TCU-Oklahoma game. I like Oklahoma in this game because they showed a lot at the end of that game. I don't know if Dylan Gabriel is going to play. I don't know if, did you hear?
I haven't heard anything
Yeah,
yet.
so I don't know. He went out of the game on Saturday against BYU, so hopefully he can play. If he plays, I feel like they should win. If he doesn't, it may be more of a coin flip game. But this TCU team is not the strongest in the world, so there's a chance that Oklahoma could still win this one without Gabriel. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma in this case, and I'm going to say Oklahoma wins like 28 to like 22. What do you got?
I think with this one, Oklahoma has really struggled against teams that have pretty solid defenses. Case in point, BYU last week.
Yeah.
The difference is TCU's defense is definitely not as it was the year before.
Yeah.
So I feel like Oklahoma will take advantage of that regardless of who's at quarterback. I feel like they're going to win, but it's going to be another close one. I'm going to go with a 30-23 win for the Sooners. I feel like TCU is going to stay in there.
Yeah, I feel so as well. Okay, AAC, 3 teams are left. Tulane, SMU, UTSA. They're all 7-0 in conference, so a real, like barn burner coming down to this to figure out who's going to get in. Lucky for all of us, Tulane and UTSA play each other. This Tulane team with Pratt is definitely one of the better teams in the country, and you don't hear much about them because they don't play a tough schedule outside of that Ole Miss game, and really Ole Miss got lucky because Pratt was hurt for that game. If he's in that game, they likely win that game, and we're talking about a 11-0 Tulane team right now. So I like Tulane in this game. I know UTSA is very strong. Frank Harris is obviously very solid at quarterback, 7th-year quarterback, but I just like Tulane more. I think they're a better team. I think if they win, they're in, and I think UTSA, if they lose, they're out.
Yeah.
So
this is the game breaker.
It's a winner take all here thing. So I like Tulane in this instance. I think Tulane is probably going to score at least 38, but I like UTSA to score a lot as well. I'm going to say it's like 38-32, something like, or 31, something like that. What do you got?
I honestly think besides the Michigan-Ohio State game, this is the game of the week.
Yeah, this definitely is going to be a solid game.
These are 2 of the best, group of 5 teams in the country, and then they're going to battle out for a conference championship. It's amazing. When this one, I was, praising UTSA all last year and much of this year as well. Yeah. Same with Tulane. I really feel these teams, this could be like a conference championship in and itself.
Yeah.
But when trying to decide the 2, the big difference is that Tulane has not only the experience, but especially the experience on defense to stop these high-powered offenses that UTSA has.
Right.
Case in point, they were able to, hold, USC last year in check with a lot of returning starters, and a lot of these, USF last week, and they were able to hang in there with Ole Miss. UTSA has not had that kind of competition, hasn't even faced that kind of competition all year. Tulane has for the past 2 seasons. Again, small sample size, but they at least have been in these games and they've at least made it a fight. So with that, I feel like with Tulane knowing how to, stay in these games and fight in them, they won't get rattled if they get down by 1 or 2 scores, unlike UTSA. Yeah. I have seen UTSA struggle once they get down and get down early. So I think Tulane, both of these teams come out close, but once Tulane pulls away from like 1 or 2 scores by like 10 points, that might be it. Because I think they know how to close it out. I'm going to go Green Wave win and go to the conference championship 34-30.
Okay. The other game on the flip side of that is SMU Navy. I like SMU in this game. I think Navy obviously poses a decent threat. You know, if you're not ready for the option, it can bite you in the butt, which happens to teams. But I think SMU is going to be ready, especially with a berth in the AAC championship game on the line. So I like SMU in this game. I think they're going to probably win, I'd say like 31 to like 20. What do you got?
I think SMU will win, but it's going to be very important that they, because again, Navy we have seen, not only do they run the triple option and have a pretty good defense, they play keep away. And SMU's obvious biggest strength is on offense, so they're going to exploit that as much as they can. SMU has to take advantage of every opportunity they get, so I think they will, but it's not going to be as high scoring. I think it'll be like 24-10 Mustangs.
Okay. All right. Last game on the Friday schedule, I think the SMU game was on Saturday, but I'm not sure. But on the Friday schedule, Oregon State, Oregon. Now, this is one of my favorite games. I believe it's the Civil War.
Yeah. So, or whatever they're calling it now.
Yeah, I don't think they call that anymore. But that's what
War.
Yeah, whatever it used to be. But I like both of these teams a lot. I've been a huge proponent of the Pac-12 all year. It's a shame that Oregon State already has 3 losses, because it would have been great to see them get to this game with like 1 or 2 losses and really have like a ton riding on this game. I don't think that Oregon State even has a shot of getting in.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. What it is, sorry, I didn't read it here yet, but I have it here, my notes, of course. Arizona gets in with a win and an Oregon loss. So Oregon State does not have a shot, but they can help out Arizona if they beat Oregon. Which is crazy considering Arizona, the start of the year, struggled mightily, and now they're on the verge of getting into the Pac-12 championship game. That's crazy if that happened. But I would love to see Oregon get there, because an 11-1 Oregon versus a 12-0 Washington is basically a quarterfinal at this point.
Is.
So, but in this game, Bo Nix, DJ Ukulele, I don't even know how to say it.
Ukulele.
Probably the last time I'll have to say it anyways. But DJ versus Bo Nix, both transfers from Auburn and Clemson. Bo definitely resurrected his career. DJ's kind of been all right. But I like Bo Nix in this one. He has a chance to get to the Heisman, or to win the Heisman. His numbers are some of the best in the country. They only have that 1 loss against Washington. The game is in Eugene, I believe. I'm not 100% sure.
You want to check real quick?
Yeah, look it up real quick. If it's in Eugene, it is, because they said last week the Oregon State game was their last home game. So yes, it's in Eugene. So I like Oregon even more. Their offense is prolific. That wide receiver Franklin.
Yep.
Franklin is a stud. He has over 1,000 yards, over like 70 catches, a ton of TDs. He's just a freak, just like Odunze. The rest of the offense is very proficient. Like everyone involved, Herbert's brother, the tight end, is amazing. Their defense is very solid. I think that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. They should, because Dan Lanning is a defensive guy, and he comes from Georgia, and he's the D coordinator there. So I like Oregon's defense a lot. Oregon State is a solid team. They can put up a lot of points, and their defense is solid as well. I just like Oregon more, and I like what Oregon's doing, and I like that they have a lot on the line, so they're going to play for this game with a lot of pride, especially in this rivalry game. I like them winning, I'm going to say 38 to 28. What do you got?
Yeah, I think you need all the motivation in the world, because, Oregon needs to win this game, obviously, go to the Pac-12 championship. And, every rivalry game, if the other team can't make it, they sure as heck want to make sure the other team can't make it.
Just like Florida. Yeah, I didn't even mention that. They had the chance to eliminate Florida State from the playoff hopes.
So any chance the rival has to screw the other team, they absolutely are going to be motivated for that. But I feel like when it just comes down to it, Oregon is the better team, and especially in Eugene, where they have been excellent this year. I think I saw a statistic where they have like their top 5 overall offense in home games. They're like 1, like 2, like the best offense.
Oregon, yeah.
in the country
They're
when it's a
very
home
good.
game.
Very
so
good.
with that being said, it's in Eugene. If it was
Corvallis,
much tougher game.
Same.
But I feel like Oregon finds a way to win this one. I think it's going to be tight. It's going to be scrappy. But Oregon gets the win, goes to the Pac-12 championship. I'll go 30-24.
Nice. Okay, Saturday's games. The first game on Saturday, the noon kickoff, Ohio State, Michigan. Obviously a lot going on with Harbaugh's suspension. He's not going to be there. Does this Ohio State team do enough to win this game? I think they do. I think Ohio State is good enough to beat this Michigan team. They beat Notre Dame. They beat Penn State. They beat Wisconsin. I think those are 3 solid victories that Michigan only really has the Penn State victory. So I know I talked to someone in the gym the other day, and he was a Michigan fan, and he's very worried. And you should be. Honestly, this is a coin flip game. But I like Ohio State because it's in Michigan.
It's in the Big House.
Never mind, it's in Big House. I actually don't think that matters because the last 2 years, it hasn't. Last year it didn't matter. So I think Ohio State gets revenge after the last 2 years, losing to Michigan. I think McCord does enough. I think Travion Henderson does enough on the running game. I think Marvin Harrison has a really good game. I think also Ohio State's defense is the difference here because I don't love J.J. McCarthy. I think his numbers are very weak. He should have never been considered for potentially getting to New York for the Heisman. I think in this case, Ohio State's defense can stuff Michigan enough, limit them in the running game, and then make enough on offense. It'll be close. I'm going to say like a 24-20 game. And it may even be, Ohio State scores late in the fourth quarter to go on top, and then their defense makes stops to end the game. But 24-20, that's what I got. What do you got?
So this one, and shout out to my buddy, one of my coworkers, Josh, who's a diehard Ohio State fan, and with that hates Michigan with a brain. He calls them the team up north.
Of course.
When we were talking about this, he has said this, and I agreed with him, and we said this. Ohio State, that defense has had 364 days to solve the problem, and that was not give up, beat the offensive line that Michigan had. That is how they lost the last 2 years. Yeah. Is that Edwards and Corum, or even last year Edwards just gashed them.
The Don.
Yes. He just absolutely gashed them. So it is up to Ohio State's defense to beat them to the punch and stop the running game. If Ohio State's defense can stop the running game, they beat Michigan.
Yeah.
Put more pressure on McCarthy, who, let's face it, Michigan is not a pass team. If it's going to come down to it, it was like Georgia in the 2017 to 2020.
Yeah.
They got to throw more than 25 past the game. They're not going to win because that's an act of desperation. They're not following their game plan. That is going to be the key factor. If Ohio State can limit Michigan to under 100 yards, they're going to win this game easy.
Yeah.
With that being said, again, Ohio State has to play up to it. It's in the Big House, tough place to, obviously a tough place to win, but also mention Ohio State's faced much tougher teams than Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan's schedule has been very light.
Easy.
It's been very easy, and they've been cruising to a lot of these games. It's kind of might come back to bite them. Yeah. They haven't faced too much adversity. Ohio State has, and they know how to win these close games. But
they faced adversity with Harbaugh
off field, but literally on the field.
Literally nothing in any of their games besides the Maryland game was anything close.
Yeah.
Every other game they pretty much destroyed teams. Well, the Penn State game was somewhat close, but I don't really love Penn State. But go ahead. Sorry.
But just to finish it up, I think with Ohio State, being in these tough games all season, and if Ohio State can beat the offensive line of Michigan, which I think they can, Ohio State wins this one. I'm almost identical score. It's going to be really typical Michigan game, Michigan-Ohio State game, dirty, probably a bunch of fights, 27 to 25. It's going to be a nasty one.
Nice. Okay. We got like 6 more to go. Kentucky, Louisville. I put this one on here because Louisville has a very outside shot of getting to the CFP. A lot of things would have to break their way. win this game and then beat Florida State. I think they can easily win this game. Louisville is a much better team than Kentucky. You know, I'm really still amazed that Florida lost to this team because...
Man, what? They're blown out.
I know, and that's what doesn't make any sense. It really was bizarre that Florida played as bad as they did against Kentucky. It's been, you know, a real nightmare to play the Kentucky the last, like, 8 years. So I'll be glad when Florida doesn't have to play them every year. But in this game, I like Plummer. I think he can do enough to move the ball. I still like what the quarterback for Kentucky, what's his name? God, played at NC State, number 13. I can't remember his name.
I know who you're talking
Devin O'Leary.
Yeah,
Devin O'Leary. Yeah.
I knew it was
so
no.
He's had some games where he's looked better. I think he's going to look bad against this team because Louisville has a decent defense. And so I think that they'll be able to keep him in check. And if that's the case, they're going to have to rely on Ray Davis, which may not be optimal. So if they can limit the passing game and then, you know, at least keep Ray Davis under 100 yards, I think they can easily win this game, which I think Louisville will. I'm going to say Louisville wins like, I'm going to say 34 to like 20. What do you got?
Yeah, I think Louisville, one thing that's impressive this year is the willingness to adapt to the game plan when it is not their style of game. If it's a low-scoring game, they can find a way to win, and if it's a shootout, they can, you know, go toe-to-toe with you as well. I think with this one, Kentucky, very strong defensively, but not, you know, clearly on offense, not the same level as Louisville. So with Kentucky having to, you know, find a way to get the most out of a very, let's face it, kind of poor offense, they're going to have to find a way to fight through a defense that is very well balanced, and this team is just balanced, and I think that's what it is. Kentucky has a good defense, but Louisville has a better team overall, and I think Louisville puts enough points. I think it'll be much more low scoring, but I think Louisville wins 27-14.
Nice. Just a closer shot.
Yeah.
Okay. BYU, Oklahoma State. You know, Oklahoma State, obviously, because everyone has a chance at the Big 12 championship game. So that's why we put this on here. I like Oklahoma State in this one, but they also got blown out by UCF. So I don't really know what to make of this team. They lost to South Alabama.
Yep.
They beat Oklahoma. I mean, who is this team? Does anyone know? I don't know. Do you know? This is very confusing to really trying to handicap this team. I mean, BYU has a backup in. I don't know if Slovis is back. I can't remember the guy's name. He was in during the Oklahoma game. He played well enough to win. And honestly, if he doesn't throw that pick six against Oklahoma, they probably win that game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I like Oklahoma State. They have a lot to play for here. BYU season is, you know, get to the bowl game and end it, but Oklahoma State has a chance to really get into the Big 12 championship game, get to a decent bowl game. I think they win it. I think they win it close. I'm going to say like 23 to like 20. What do you got?
I think BYU comes out to a hot start, but they don't have enough to sustain it and be consistent enough going into the second half. I think BYU could easily go up like 14-0, but towards the end, towards the fourth quarter, Oklahoma State will run away with it. I'll go with a 31-17 win, Oklahoma State.
Okay. Alabama, Auburn, the Iron Bowl. I really like this Alabama team. And you know why I like this Alabama team? Because it poses a huge threat to Georgia, which I love, because there's a chance that Georgia could lose the SEC championship game and then have no shot at all of getting into the playoff. Would be my dream come true. So hopefully that happens. And what needs to happen is Alabama wins this game, which I think they can. I know that Auburn has been somewhat all right all year, but looking at that game against New Mexico State last week, they got blown out. That game wasn't even close. They weren't even like in that game. And if that team shows up on Saturday, Alabama wins like 50 to like 20. I'm going to say it'll be closer because it's a rivalry game and that Auburn will get up for this game, but I still like Alabama big. I like Milroe to go off. I like their defense to hold Auburn in check. I think Alabama wins like 38 to like 17. What do you got?
Yeah, I think Alabama's just going to run away with this one. As much as Auburn has shown bounce backs, they have games like against New Mexico State. You can't have that happen. First year, fifth year, it doesn't matter. That's just very bad. I think, though, Bama, they know how to win these games. They've been in these Auburn games, and it comes down to who has the better team. Bama clearly has the better team, better talent, better athletes. They'll find a way to win this game and win it big. I'm going to go 35 to, like, 10 Bama. I think they run away with this one.
What did I do? I messed it up. Technical difficulties. Hold on, folks. Just don't want my phone to fall, because that would be the worst.
There you go.
Perfect. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Just doing the reverse angle here, trying to get some good editing shots for much later stuff. But anyways, last three games: Washington State, UW, Washington, Apple Cup. Washington has a lot to play for. Here, come a little closer. Washington has a lot to play for here. Obviously 11-0, Pac-12 championship berth already picked up. But if they win this game, they have a very high likelihood of getting into the playoff, with really only needing to beat Oregon. But even if they're 11-1, I mean, or 12-1, if they lost to Oregon, they would still have a slim chance of getting in. I don't know. It's going to be wild. The next couple of weeks, there's a lot of stuff going on to figure out. Florida State at this point, I think, is out. I kind of feel like it's pretty much on the way out. So, but back to this game. Cam Ward can pose a huge threat to this Washington team. Washington's defense is solid. They can make enough stops to win games. But the converse side of that, or the opposite side of that, is Washington's offense will score a ton of points on Washington State's defense, which I've seen Washington State give up a lot of points this year. So I feel like Michael Penix Jr., Odunze are going to have really good games. If Johnson, is that the running back? Washington's running back, if he can get over that fumble he had in the Oregon State game and bounce back, I feel like he's going to have a good game. And if that's the case, I think Washington rolls easily. I'm going to say Washington wins like 44 to like 24. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think Washington just has too many weapons, and I feel like they're going to find a way to contain Ward, because it's what we've mentioned a lot with Washington State. It's Cam Ward and not a whole lot else to help him on offense. He does a lot by himself, and as good as he is, very rarely do you have a player that can just win it by himself.
Right.
If ever. So I feel like Washington, with the weapons they have, are able to contain Ward. They'll get the points. Washington just has the better offense, and they'll take more, advantage of the opportunities they get. I'm almost same score. I'm going to go like 40 to 24, Washington.
Okay, last two. Georgia Tech. This game could be interesting. This Georgia Tech team has been kind of feisty all year. They beat North Carolina. They beat Miami. Can they beat a team like Georgia? I don't know. It's just too much for them. I think Haynes King is solid. I think he can do enough to keep them in this game. I don't think that they will pose a big enough threat to actually win this game, though. I'm going to say Georgia wins like 31 to like 20. It might be like late scores at the end of the fourth to really put them 2 scores ahead to really win this game. But I think Georgia Tech will play a little bit feistier than people are giving them credit for. Go ahead.
The thing with Georgia Tech is a lot of the wins they've had, or just like good wins they've had this year, have been against very weak teams, or at least teams that shot themselves on the foot. Case in point, Miami. They would need a godsend level of help to, in my opinion, even be close in this game. Georgia, I don't see them sleeping on this one, and they're just flat out the better team. I think they run away with it, and they put them to bed early. I'm going to go 38-13 Bulldogs.
Nice. Okay, last game. It should be a real easy one. Texas Tech. I mean, this Tech team's been all right all year. Hasn't been anything amazing. They don't have any like huge wins, but it's still a conference opponent that they've played forever. The last time that they'll play, you know, till who knows when. So maybe Texas Tech wants to get that last little victory out of the way. I think Texas wins this game. I like Quinn Ewers a lot. I don't know if many people outside of Texas fans even know too much about Quinn Ewers. He was hurt for a little bit of there. So it's like he hasn't had the like pub that most other quarterbacks have been getting. He's still put up huge numbers all year. It's just because he got hurt for 2 or 3 games. So it really took him out of the race for everything else. I like their chances of getting into the playoff. I really do, because if they win this game and they beat whoever in the Big 12 championship game, they have a real shot of getting in. I don't think that, honestly, if you matched up Florida State, even if Florida State goes undefeated against Texas with 1 loss, Texas lost to a 2-loss Oklahoma team and beat a 1-loss Alabama team.
Yeah.
I think that by far is the best resume out of anyone out there. I know they have a loss, so it hurts, but still, it was a neutral site, 1-loss or a 2-loss team that they lost to. That also, the game was very close. It was down to, it was the last play of the game,
Yep.
when it was like 15 seconds. So it's like, I don't know how you can not include this Texas team. I would love to see it. I think this team is exciting. I hate the fact that their running back got injured and is out for the year. I can't even remember his name. But he's gone. So they had some other guys come in and did decent. It's just really Quinn Ewers is a stud. So, and they have decent options and wide receiver. Adonai Mitchell is obviously very solid. So I like Texas in this game. I'm going to say Texas wins 35 to like 27. What do you got?
Yeah, I think Texas, I flat out will just win this one outright. I don't see Tech keeping up with the amount of weapons and experience Texas has right now. They've been in these tough games. They know how to win them, and that is crucial in these moments. And Tech has really stumbled and have shot themselves in the foot a lot this year. So I just see Texas being more well-disciplined and, again, knowing how to win that game. I'm going to go 35-20 Longhorns.
Nice. Okay, that's the last game. This is the end of the regular season, folks. So we have next week for conference championship game stuff. I'm going to try to do a show earlier than we normally do on the Selection Sunday to try to go at the same time. So we'll do like the recap of the conference championship games and then discuss playoff teams. So that'll be early Sunday after conference championship game. So look for that. But besides that, check us out at haterradio.com for all of our articles, all of our socials except for Facebook and YouTube. Facebook is Hater Radio CFB and YouTube is at Hater Radio. The rest of the socials, X, Twitter, Threads, Insta, TikTok is at Hater_radio. HaterRadio1@gmail.com for email. Ian, what's your socials?
YouTube, Instagram, Twitter at GGatorG.
Awesome. All right, that's the end of the show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you. We'll be back on Sunday for the wrap-up show.
Yep.
Sweet. Nice. Woo! And no one came and yelled at us.
Nah. That's the record button.
Yeah, that's it.